just to save your guys' lives a lot of trouble. So I could just start from the top. Files, you would just select it. And so right now I have your show file as Grundy Stage.
Okay.
So for now at least, this would be a good file to just work off of. What you can always do is load a show. I have the Grundy base file and then I have Grundy Stage. I'm more or less having this Grundy base file as something went wrong in my other file and I need to get back to a clean slate.
Got it.
So you would just, where we go? You would just select it and then you'd open that. And then it's just gonna pop this file up.
Okay.
So what in my personal experience, the best thing to do when you have like a base file like this, which is almost always when you're in like school events or permanent theater events, I would take this base file and then I would go save show as, then I would change the name to whatever theater thing I'm doing. So I would just say theater. So it's gonna change the show name and it's gonna say save show.
Okay.
So now, right now, this show is saved as theater. So you're not changing that base file anymore.
Okay.
That one's going to be safe. That one's not going to be changed. So you can always go back to that one.
Okay.
And everything's going to work on that one.
And so just for my clarity's sake, now there are 3 shows on here, now
Correct.
2. Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's one thing I do, because when you are programming like full musicals or plays, make that into its own show file. It's gonna save you a lot of time. It's gonna save you a lot of hassle. So you save it to its own file, so then when you program all your cues, they're gonna stay in that file.
Okay.
They're not gonna bleed to any other files. It's just gonna be that file. So you program all the things that you want, and then at the end of the day, and you know someone else is gonna touch the console that's not exactly for that musical thing or that play thing, you just go back up to your files and you go load show, and then you go to the basic file. So the Grundy Stage right now is where I was working in earlier. So now it's just all there and you don't have to worry about anyone touching it. Because believe me, people try to touch the consoles and they don't know what they're doing, and that's how you end up with like half your faders like that, and it's like, okay, what just happened?
People are nosy with my equipment.
People are always nosy. Not exactly always a bad thing. I was very nosy when I was in high school, and that's how I got the internship with this company.
Yep.
That's how I learned all this stuff. It's just knowing the line between learning and just touching buttons.
Yeah.
But it's just something that happens. So we're in the file. Each file will have a patch. So this patch is how each of the fixtures are receiving a signal. So right here, you go through your DMX address, and it's just universe 1 and then whatever the address is per. Don't want to change that. And so right now, the fixture type is a generic dimmer. That means it's those dimmer racks that you have on the side of the stage. Eventually, when you start to add more fixtures, you'll just hit that plus button, and then you can type in whatever the type of fixture, the name of the fixture is. So like if I were to add one of mine, we have Chave, not that button. So it's alphabetical by manufacturer. And so we use a lot of, I'd love to find the C's quickly. Chave Pro.
Okay.
So they have 1,010,000 fixtures. So you just find whatever fixture you want, and then you could just click on that. And so there's modes.
Okay.
So at the bottom here, so that has a 31. That's just, oh, never mind. It's just syntax for the programming of the actual console.
Yeah.
Right here, oh, let's, I love when I click buttons that I didn't realize that they would do things. So give me something with more settings. There we go. So down here it says channel count.
Mm-hmm.
So right now your generic dimmers are a 1-channel dimmer.
Mm-hmm.
So it just means all it can do is go up and down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just your power. So these, you might have 10 channels. So that means it's going to have its power channel, where it's just up and down, and then it might have your color, your red, green, blue, white, and then depending if it's a moving fixture, it's going to add more channels. The channels is how it's receiving signal to basically do its functions. There are some fixtures that they have different modes inside of the fixture itself. So we actually tested a fixture. Its lowest channel count was 15 channels and its highest was 110. So there are some fixtures that they really simplify things down. They go, hey, you just want this few functions, so that's all we're going to give you. It's going to be sweet, it's going to be simple. And then when you get to kind of my stage where it's like, okay, like you guys are more advanced and you want to have full control over it.
Yeah.
You want to be able to control the fan speeds inside the fixture. You want to control every diode of every LED diode inside of the face of the fixture. There's a lot of cool things you can do. If you just look up videos of like lighting controlling, super cool. There's a lot of cool things you can do. So obviously, you're still running conventional off of dimmer racks. So you don't need 1,010,000 channels. You just need one per. So if you were to add anything, you'd select your manufacturer, you would find your fixture, you get to the mode that you want it. And so right now you're in Universe 1. That is your main one.
Mm-hmm.
You will probably still stay in that one even after adding fixtures. You look for your start address, and then you also have a quantity.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, your start address is hitting 49 because that is the first open channel
Yeah.
in it. But you also have things programmed into address 60 through 66. So if this was like a 30 channel count fixture, you wouldn't be able to start at 49 because there's not enough consecutive open spaces.
Right.
So you would just find, okay, there's also a screensaver on this. You can disable it if you really want. It goes off after a couple minutes, but it's just something that sometimes annoys me. But yeah, you would have your start address quantity. You see how that changed to 67 now?
Yeah.
It's because that has a 15 channel count.
Yeah.
There weren't 15 open spaces in between the first section and the second section of fixtures already programmed.
Yeah.
So then you would just hit patch, and then it's going to show up at the bottom. If you ever accidentally patch it wrong, or you don't actually want that fixture in there, you just accidentally select the wrong one, you just go to your action, you select it, and you just delete it.
All right.
So that'll be something for the future when you add fixtures, and that just gives you the wiggle room to be able to do more stuff on your own. You don't have to call someone in just to, hang another fixture and plug it in.
Yeah.
You guys will be able to do that by yourself. And so there's those. There's an execute tab. So this is, it's if you took a fader and made it just an on off.
Okay.
You can't like just slide it up. It's just an on and off.
Okay.
So you would program it, which it has a little bit of instructions here. You would hit record and then you'd tap on one of the squares. Then you would have a square and you just be able to tap on it and it'll go on, and then you tap it again and it'll go off. So that's if I use that as I've run out of faders.
Yeah.
And I still want to have things programmed. So then I would just start throwing them in there, and then during a show or something, I would just be able to, need to turn that on, and boop,
Yeah.
turn on. So that's the execute tab. Outputs, you won't want to touch. It is showing you the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Your analog board, this is what you were seeing on the analog board.
Okay.
Because you had like 24 channels on there. So that's if you had the first 24 channels of this
Got it.
on there.
So can I scroll?
Yeah, go ahead.
So 512 channels?
So each universe has 512 channels. And this console can do up to 4.
That's ridiculous.
So I'm not going to do that math in my head.
I'm not either. But so
But yeah,
it's like
That's
Nah,
4,000.
duh.
That's 4,040.
yeah. So you could put a lot of fixtures in that amount of channels.
I don't think we have
Oh,
the power for that.
2,048.
Excuse me?
Crap, sorry.
Thanks.
Yeah. Won't need to really look at the sources, but that's just a behind the scenes thing. Don't really need to touch that.
Yeah.
Let's see, unused stacks. When you build these out, if you just want to save them,
Oh.
you can throw them in there, and then someone can program over these. So I could throw all these in here for whatever reason. Okay, most of them. I don't
Is
know
that
why.
because that one's on right now?
Right.
That's it's being used.
Good
Active,
eye.
actively
There you
being
go.
used sack.
Yeah. Yeah, so if they're being used, can't put them in. But yeah, you could just throw things in and then program over these, and it will have it saved. So once you're done with whatever you've done there, just drag it back on, and you'll have control over it, which is oftentimes very useful when you have multiple hands on the same console all
Yep.
on the same file. So that's unused Q stacks, and then Q faders. So that's going to show you the 40 that are here.
Okay.
So if you were to program something here, but actually want it to be over here, you could go, hey, I want
Ooh.
stage backgrounds on 5. And then it's going to show up over here.
Are you able to do it the other way around too?
If you were to do
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, you can throw things wherever you want. There's a lot of playing room in all of this stuff. It's great.
I like this a lot better than the one that was here before.
I think it was just fine, personally.
So probably won't ever use 10 or events or network devices. So settings, it's got a bunch of pages. For the most part, you shouldn't need to.
Set a password.
Yeah, you could set a password. It's just really annoying
Yeah.
when you have passwords, and because sometimes you will not touch it for a little bit and it'll go to the screensaver, but then you'll be in the middle of a production and you're like, oh no, like something's happening, I need to change this real quick, and then you have a password that you have to enter. And
So, Just out of curiosity.
Yes.
Let's say it's not show season
Mm-hmm.
and it's just being used for regular everyday use.
Yeah.
Am I able to set an admin password and then set a not admin password where they can like access like, oh, I can turn on the house lights?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe because that would turn it into an operator.
Okay.
So you no longer become able to change settings. You no longer be able to program anything.
Okay.
It's just you are able to
But
move
I-
the faders and control it.
But I could have an admin password for
Yes.
just myself and the
Mhm.
people that know how to
Yep.
use the thing.
So you would just come into here, and then you go to admin, and then you would set that password. So whenever you're going through here, so it would be set at operator by default.
So you can only change. You can only add passwords on admin programmer.
Yes.
There you go.
Okay.
Yep. So it would be set to operator by default, and then you go to admin, and then it would show a prompt
Okay.
to enter in the password in order to get into it,
Okay.
and then it would give you this screen. Network. So one cool thing is there's a little antenna back here that's stuck. So you can kind of see that antenna.
Yeah.
So you can connect to this with like an iPad or a phone. I have the app on my phone. So all you would do is, so it's a quick Q remote app. And so this one, they all have QR codes. So you just select your QR code button, you'd hover over it, and then it's going to ask you to switch to a network because these are acting like its own like router basically.
Yeah.
And so then you can
Oh.
control it. So if you, once you get movers, really cool thing that I like to do, I just head out on the stage with my phone, connected to the console that's usually back,
Yeah.
and I position my lights so that it's actually hitting the person on the stage. So I'm not sitting back here kind of yelling instructions at someone on stage. I just go out there and stand where I think they will be, and I do it myself. It saves me a lot of the hassle
Yep.
because I'm not always the best at explaining things, and it's nice to just like just get it done.
That's a good idea because my plan was essentially to video all of the scenes, say you can't change anything, and then program it myself. So
Yeah. So DMX won't need to press any of those buttons and should not press any of those buttons.
good to know.
Um,
Got that.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm not.
That's it's more in-depth stuff that like once you really know what you're doing, like go ahead and touch these buttons, but until then stay away from them. Console, that's just basic information stuff. That's where you enable your screensaver.
Okay.
Turn it on and off. Backlight
Okay.
is the, because when it's a fully blacked out room and you have this bright screen on.
Yeah, we used to have a lamp on, so
It's somewhere around here.
yeah, it's right there.
And so then also update this first tab. So right now it tells you it's 10.3 software. I believe for the most part they send out notifications. I would check just every once in a while, every couple of months, on the ChamSys website. You can go to the downloads and you can get their software for free. Two things, you can get their desktop software.
Okay.
So you can get pretty much all of that on a computer to build your show files.
Okay.
So if you're like at home or something, you take the file from here, upload it onto like a thumb drive, plug that into your computer, you can put that file onto your computer. And so like when you have movers or something, you can basically position them how you want them at home, bring that thumb drive back, plug it back in, load that file, and it's all the stuff that you just worked on, not here,
Okay.
and it's just going to be saved. So on their website, they have that desktop software, and then they're also going to have console software. So that is going to be a good thing to look at every once in a while. It is just firmware updates, so sometimes, obviously, software has bugs. That's just something that you'll run into.
Yeah.
And so keeping your stuff up to date is going to keep most of those bugs away.
Okay. And let's say there's an update in the middle of a like a show production 2 months period. It won't affect the files.
Yes.
Okay.
I would suggest not updating it as soon as the updates come out.
Okay.
Always find a time where you will have plenty of time after the update to make sure everything is still in line, because computers aren't perfect.
Yeah.
So I would always take the time to, okay, I saved all this stuff and now I just updated to the new software. Let's go back through all of this stuff, make sure it's all good, make sure it's all the way I want it to be, and then we're ready for show day.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, no, and it has the update, so that's where you actually update it. So you'll plug in a USB into the back, and then you'll just hit the update software,
Okay.
and it will open up a file manager from what it's reading from that thumb drive. You just select the software, and then you'll be good. They add the change notes for you, so that's gonna tell you what happened in that newest firmware update. So I actually updated this console Tuesday this week, because it was a little bit behind, because they put it in a box and
Yeah.
it doesn't get the newest stuff.
Yeah.
So I did not want to have to do it here, so I popped it open, set it up, and now we're here.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Other than that, shutdown. That's just going to safely turn off the console.
And would you recommend, like, when it's not in use, leaving it off then?
Pretty much at the end of the night.
Okay.
Like, yeah, if it's not going to be used for a day, shut it off.
All right.
If it's like not going to be used for a couple hours, you could leave that on.
Okay.
We leave ours on a lot longer than these will probably ever be on,
Okay.
because we'll have like 20-hour days.
And so when you hit the shut off button, how do you turn it back on?
So we could do that right now. So another thing, always save shows. Once you're done with it, save your show file, and then you come down and you hit shutdown.
Mm-hmm.
It'll just give you another prompt. Then you power it off, and then we'll go through that, and it'll turn everything off. So on the back here, I always just feel around for it. I don't ever know where the button actually is. So there's a tiny little button.
Okay.
You can actually hear it jiggling. Yep.
There.
Right.
Okay.
You feel that? Yep, there you go.
Okay. Cool.
So then it just clicks on. And then,
That is a very small button.
yeah, it's not my favorite thing, but not very many people are able to accidentally hit that button,
Yeah, that's fair.
which is nice. So yeah, it'll go through its boot up sequence.
Okay.
My rule of thumb is give it a minute before actually trying to do anything, because a lot of the time, everything else is going from a passive setting to an active setting where it's now receiving signal.
Yeah.
So it has to switch over. Sometimes that takes a little bit of time. Conventional stuff, dimmer racks, sometimes slow down a bit, and you want to make sure it's all good, all safe. And obviously the lights stayed on even after the console was shut off.
Yeah.
So when you kill a DMX signal, those dimmer racks are saving the last thing that they've heard. So it's just a good good thing to do to just make sure everything's off, then
Yeah.
shut down, because then you'll have a console that's off but lights that still need to be turned off.
Okay. And sorry, I just want to make sure that I'm seeing this right.
Yeah.
This two right here, this is the house lights. So if I
So yep, that is the group that I have.
that's the group. Okay.
Yeah. So what you can do is you unlock this, and then I usually go to a grid just so it's a little cleaner.
Yeah.
And so I go to the groups, and then you can just drag these onto the grid.
Okay.
And so this house is actually one of those groups
Yeah.
files.
And so let's say, for example, I just wanted to turn off just this set of house lights. Is that possible?
Like, so just these?
Yeah, just the stuff above me.
Yes. So if you were to select your house, so all these are labeled house right
So-
here.
49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54.
Yes.
Okay.
So if I were to clear that right now and bring house lights all the way down, the way that these are, how would I say, addressed, they go by like rows. So that's the first one.
Yeah.
So that's just those.
Okay.
And so then the second one is just those. And then your third one is something that we can't see with these two. I believe it's one of the hallway lights.
Okay.
Yes, so it's that one over there for that
Got it.
seating section. And then that one.
Is us?
So 52 is right above us.
Okay.
So you could just drop those down and keep all the other ones up.
Sorry. This one's an entirely picky classroom management thing. This is yeah.
Yeah. No, that's entirely fine. And then 53 is going to be that seating area. And 54 is going to be your hallway lights.
Okay.
These hallways on the sides. So yeah, you could definitely get super in depth into all of that. Instead of just using the groups, you could go in and
Yeah.
change really whatever you want to. So this is the fixture tab. So a lot of those fixtures don't actually control anything.
Yeah.
I just programmed 1 through 48.
And so with the fixtures, how do I know, let's say for example I add another fixture, how do I know where to plug it in?
So those dimmer racks back on the stage, it has 48 dimmers
Mhm.
in all of your racks. So right now, all the ones that are labeled dimmer, those are going to correspond what the address is.
Okay.
So you said you have like 16 up there.
Yeah.
If that's plugged into 16 on the dimmer rack,
Okay.
then all you have to do is go and find your 16, and then so that would be right there. You could just select it, and even if you just plug it in and then you just turn on your dimmer, if it's addressed correctly, it's going to turn on.
Okay. I was just wondering because when I was up there, I think there's a couple of them that have the same number on it.
Yeah. So that's a very normal thing. Some of them will dual patch them.
Okay.
They'll both. It's just an easy way to control house lights.
Yeah.
And certain catwalk things where it's like, okay, these just always should be on at
And
the same time.
So those are actually like if it has the same number on it, more than likely, those are actually all just going to the same number.
I believe so.
Okay.
We went
Cool.
through it last year with Faulkner because they were all like wonky. So
Yeah.
we fixed them all.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
There's still a couple that are like busted up out there. I'm gonna see if I can leverage Vokes to fix that for me.
There you go. But other than that, I think you're good.